Welcome, guys. I'm Armin Shaomian, president of MEIEA, the Music and Entertainment Industry Educators Association. I want to welcome you to our MEIEA Meets event. This is a really exciting one because we have our own social media celebrity on our MEIEA board. Just a couple of quick reminders. MEIEA is offering a full free year of academic membership for this coming year. So if you are not currently a member, please think about joining. I will send you an email by tomorrow with some follow-ups about today, as well as a link to join for a free academic year. Also, please save the date for our virtual summit. It will be on October 2nd and 3rd. And the summit will also be free of cost for all MEIEA members. Usually the summit runs about $289, but we're doing it virtually this year and we're hoping you can join us. There's going to be panels, keynotes, research presentations, and a lot more. Also, I just want to let you know that this session will be recorded. We have a lot of members that like to check in later if they're unable to join us today. We record these for our archiving purposes, and we also post it on our new MEIEA YouTube page, where I'll send you the link as well so you can join and subscribe and see all the other MEIEA Meets sessions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Professor Ulf Osterli. He is an assistant professor in the Bandier program at Syracuse University. And like I mentioned, he's our own social media celebrity. Ulf, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Thanks everyone for being here today. I don't think there's any other topic more relevant right now than TikTok. And having that conversation is one that we'll go through today. And I'd love to have this as conversational as we can, because as a solo presenter today, you don't necessarily want to hear me talk for 60 minutes straight. But before we get into this, I would love to hear any of you that are on TikTok right now, or what your experiences are. That way it'll help me sort of shape where we're going to go with this conversation today. This can be either in the chat, raise your hand, but I'd love to just get a quick temperature in the room on your experiences with TikTok. Are you there? Are you creating? Are you watching? Are you not on the app at all? All right, not even tried it is the first response here. Scott, what about you? I'm going to call you out.
I watch my students and neighborhood kids on it. I am not on it. I'm just sort of in awe of how fast it's grown and how it has really started launching its own music and success potential within that platform.
Absolutely. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity on the platform right now. And, looking at the chat right now, all the responses are, I've never been there. I've never been there. I'm not on TikTok just yet. And I think we all should be on TikTok right now. If we were to go through and take a look at some of the user base of TikTok, we can see that there are growing numbers of individuals that are really jumping on this platform. We're looking at around 800 million people on TikTok right now. And the pandemic and shelter-in-place orders have really started to grow some of the millennial and older user base, where when we look at 25 to 44, now we're talking around 45% of the TikTok user base as adults. And that's something that is sometimes missed when we talk about TikTok. It's been really seen as that app to go practice your dances. And that's because of the roots that we had in Musical.ly. And, it's not there anymore. And it's really become a platform for music, for content creators, for news, for social justice, sports, and really, it's become a big force. So today, anticipating that many of us wouldn't have been really heavy TikTok users, I want to take us first through the app, because as Scott said, his students are using it. Your students are using it. My students are using it. And if we don't understand what the platform can do, as professors, we are at a disadvantage. From there, move into the intersection with music, collaborating with content creators, and then we'll have a little conversation about the future of TikTok and what the TikTok alternatives are that are out there. As you have questions, feel free to raise those in the chat or jump on and chime in and ask those with your voice, because I do want to be sure we can get through the questions that you have about this platform. And it's one that I'm heavily invested with as a consumer and a creator. And I'll take you a little bit through my path to kick things off. So as of yesterday, I hit the 75,000 follower mark on TikTok, and the content that I've created has 2 million likes right now. And that really, you know, it was built off of a lot of trial and error early on, but now it's become a big part of my daily life. And this is a screenshot from this morning about my daily time spent on TikTok. And that's, yes, 6 hours and 15 minutes a day spent on TikTok. You know, if you want to really learn something, you've got to dive deep. And that's, I guess, why I'm in this position chatting about TikTok today. And, you know, it's an investment, but it's starting to pay off. And I'll show you sort of how and why it is paying off for me as a creator, as an educator, and as someone who works with music. The biggest video that I had on the platform has 18.7 million views and 665,000 likes of that video. So users have gone in and clicked that little heart button. And with that, there's 27,000 comments. As you can see, I didn't use any hashtags with this particular post. This was a 15-second video of me showing how to set a screw. For those of you that don't know me, I've got one hand. And so for me to hold a screw and try to screw it in is really tough to balance right here. So what I do is I'll hold the screw and tap it in and then use the drill to drive it in. And that sort of caught fire and really started to blow up. And when you look at the amount of time spent watching this particular video, we can see it's a lot. 67,000 hours of watch time with this particular video. And, you know, when you do the math, now we're looking at about 7 years, 8 months worth of time spent watching a 15-second video. So it's pretty massive when we look at it from that standpoint. You know, overall, the average watch time as a metric is something that TikTok creators will look at. You know, with a video that's 15.21 seconds long, an average watch time of 13 seconds, that's not so bad. That means people didn't generally skip it right off the bat. And that skip rate will impact your content based on that TikTok algorithm. We can see this was also shared 42,000 times. And this is where you have users coming across this video and then sharing that either to their Snapchat, to Instagram, or directly to other TikTok users. And so in that case, that really helps boost the signal of the video as well. Questions so far? All right. Head into the user experience here with what the app actually looks like. And instead of syncing my app, I pulled some screenshots here just to make it a little bit easier and so that I can share this entire deck with all of you after the presentation. So if this is something you want to use to build out any of your lessons down the road, we've got this as an option. So on my page specifically, you can see in the bottom right, this is sort of the me section where it shows your profile. And with this profile, you can see the number of followers, those who you are following, the number of likes, you get your profile picture, your handle, everything you'd expect for a social media platform. You've got a short bio section. And one thing that we see pretty regularly now are more popular creators, including their Venmo in their bio. And it may not seem like a thing, but it actually has become one where people will actually send you money to your Venmo if you are a popular creator. And so that can become a revenue stream for you. And then you've got your links. I've got a link to my triathlon site. And from here, you know, if you're an artist, it's going to be to your music, your website, or anything else you might be promoting. As you get into the home section, the app is split into two particular areas. The For You page, which is really where you see content that has been curated for you specifically, based on the interactions that you have with videos before, what you've liked, what you've commented on, and it really is tailored to you with 800 million users on TikTok, there's a pretty diverse set of content that you can come across in all areas on TikTok. And you will often see creators want to get on the For You page because this is TikTok placing your content in front of others. And that's different than what we would see with the following section. And these are the creators that you are particularly following. And they are creators that you can keep tabs of. And I've got around 600 people that I'm following, generally in the world of music and fitness, some coffee roasters as well, because that's a fun little passion. But this is really where you can curate your own content and see what you want from those particular creators. And, from here we can move on to your inbox. This is where you get all of your alerts, and you can see the particular videos that people have liked. If they've commented, this is where those comments will show up. You also have the ability to do a duet with a creator, and that's where your video will be right next to their video, and you'll use their original audio, and then you will have reactions to that. So this is where that activity will take place, and you'll see that in your inbox. And then if you want to go and create your own content, this is where we're hitting the little plus sign at the bottom. And I would encourage all of you over the next couple of weeks before classes begin to jump on and really try to create some content. You don't have to fully post it if you don't want to, but understanding the process, if you've never been on TikTok, I think is important because all of our students are doing this. If we're going to go through and create content, we can go and hit that plus sign. On the right-hand side, vertical column, we can see that there are options. You can record at different speeds. You've got filters. You've got beauty mode, which will adjust your imperfections and smooth out your skin tones if you want. You've got a timer, which is really helpful in some of the shooting. And then other options like flipping your camera, flash, everything's right there. You can hit the red button to record or go through and upload pre-recorded content. And this is from your camera roll, so you don't have to record it in app if you don't want to. And then from there, you also have effects. And this is where we might have, say, a green screen behind us. And you can have a photo or a landscape. You might have other effects that, like earthquake, which shakes the camera. Plenty of different effects there. Some of them will trend and become popular, and others will jump on those particular trends. And those trends are really a big part of where we see content being created within TikTok. And then your options, generally 15, 60 seconds. You've got a template for photos if you want to use those, or you can go live. And the basis of TikTok is short form video content. And this is, the 15-second sound clip is typically what we see within the music space, where songs have been chopped into 15-second loops or 15-second bites for users to use. And so my question to you is, recognizing the 15-second loop here, how do you think this impacts songwriters today?
Got to get to the hook faster.
Either get to the hook faster or make sure you've got a hook that's short. And that's really the basis of this. If you've got a hook that's going to be 16, 18 seconds, it's not going to fit for most of the TikTok videos. Most of the rights holders are limiting the master recording to about 15 seconds. And it makes it easier on the users when you've got that, because of the fact that it's going to be the same hook, the same portion of that song for all of those creators. Continuing on with this, we have the sounds portion. It's a little tough to see on the screen here, but top center, this is where you get the songs. And in TikTok, they don't call them songs. They do call them sounds, because it's not just music. You'll have other audio, whether it's viral audio from parents talking to their kids or dogs, or certain sound effects. Those are all found under that sounds tab. And you can go through and search for those. The discover portion on the user interface will also take you multiple layers deep, because you've got lots of different options when you go through and start doing some searching on the Discover page. Here, I did a search for St. John. St. John had his song Roses, and it's the remix of this song that really helped drive this one to the top of the charts. And you can see that the song clip itself is 15 seconds. If you move over to the right, you can see there's 3.2 M. That's 3.2 million videos have been created with this particular song. And it's this particular sound, because there are several different edits of this song that are available. If we look at the users, now you can see St. John as the actual artist, but then others that have similar usernames. Fans will jump on and try to get something similar, hoping that they'll be tagged, but you can see the follower counts much lower than St. John and his 340,000 TikTok followers. You can see the top videos. These are ranked by the number of likes that they've received. So you can see this top one has 1.6 million likes on this particular sound, and that, you know, that ranking will change as other videos are liked more. The sounds themselves, as I mentioned, the 3.2 million version is the top one, but there are other smaller other clips from this particular track that have you know, a couple 100,000 views or videos that have been created for them. So, and then from there, we see hashtags, and the hashtags will change pretty much daily based on what is trending on the app. And using the popular trending hashtags does help to put your content in front of others. Not every video needs hashtags, but it is something that as you're posting, you can see the trending hashtags and your content will show up within those buckets. And then going live, this is sort of the last big part of the user interface. And once you've reached 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can now do live streams. And this is where we will start to see more of the, you know, the money taking a part of what you're doing. You know, some people will put their Venmo in this description where I have MEIEA Meets and look for Venmo donations. Others will accept gifts. And this is a platform where, as you're going live, your followers, your fans, people that are watching the live stream can gift content to you. And those content pieces are little digital badges, but they've got a monetary value associated with them. And we've seen this, you know, process throughout the shelter at home time as an opportunity for artists to go live. And artists like Kelsey Ballerini have gone on in her basement. She does an acoustic live set, and occasionally will take you through her house and give you a sort of a behind the scenes look at what's going on in her life, including her walk-in closet, which is essentially an extra bedroom. Those peaks inside of an artist's life are happening on TikTok. And if you're not there, you definitely miss out, because they're not ending up on YouTube. They're not archived. They are in the moment, you see it, and then they move on. The gifts themselves can range from 1 coin. So the bottom right is a little TikTok logo. That'll cost you 1 coin to donate. If you've got a lot of money in the bank, you might send somebody a legendary. That's 1,000 coins. And there's, 5, 25, 50, 100, 500 increments here. And so the popular creators will get these gifts. Oftentimes there is an incentive for you to gift to that creator, where they'll follow you back. They'll do a duet. In some cases, some of the larger marketers will go and do a full audit of your social media presence. And essentially it's a little one-on-one consultation. And those will happen pretty regularly. And you can see in the bottom left is my coin balance of 75 right now. But if we wanted to go through and increase that so we can tip other content creators, we can go through right into the app itself. It charges you via the App Store. I'm on iPhone, so it's the Apple App Store. And for $100, I could buy myself 6,600 coins in order to tip the content creators. So there is a monetary aspect to this. Pause here and just check the chat real quick. So a couple questions that I see. Do the PROs pay performance royalties? There are some licensing deals in place. And I don't know about the PROs just yet, but the publishers have a deal and the major labels have a deal with their catalogs. So those have really been direct licensing deals, and the majors have a short-term licensing deal in place. And that sort of makes sense based on where we are in whether TikTok's going to stay or go. Typically you'll see a licensing deal of around 2 years. This is shorter than that, though the NMPA has a multi-year deal right now, and that was directly licensed via TikTok. So there are royalties that are generated. It's not based on the number of views of the videos, but it is based on the number of videos created. So that's a different way to monetize this. Sean with a question about copyright and content ownership. Actually a fantastic question, because that does happen a lot. This question of who owns the content, who's remixing the content, and are there issues there? And I'm going to jump ahead in the presentation so I can answer this question right now. And I will go right here. So there's this line: Molly rocks in my green tea. And this is a lyric that is from a song the duo XIX put out called Kimset. And it's a fairly popular song right now. Not massively popular, but it's one that, it's got a couple million views or streams on Spotify. It's got 200,000 videos that have been created using that particular song. And that line specifically, Molly rocks in my green tea, has now been taken, and users or other creators will add something after that. It could be from a different song. It could be their own audio. And so now we see situations like this, where each of these songs that is labeled original audio actually has content that was from the band XIX, but they changed the sound in some way. So these don't show up when we're looking at all the analytics. And these will show up as their own original sounds, but XIX is not getting the credit. So it's really interesting to see what's happening with some of these sounds. And I'm using XIX as an example here because they're one that I've been tracking for several months. I think it was probably late March, early April when I first came across this song and the band, and I posted to my Facebook wall. I said, these guys they're gonna get there. They had maybe 50, 60,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, but you could tell that their songs were created for TikTok. Now, there's two sides to TikTok that typically will be discussed. There's the mainstream content creator, someone like Charlie D'Amelio, Lauren Gray, Addison Rae. These folks that are pretty clean cut, a lot of brand deals, straight away, perfect for monetizing what they're doing with some of the larger brands. And then there's the more artsy side of TikTok, which has been labeled alt TikTok. And this is like the underground. This is the equivalent of really what punk music was at one point, where it's artsy. There's a lot of creativity in the types of videos that are created, and XIX falls into that category. They're going to make it. They're going to get a major label deal. Now they're up to mid 200,000s for monthly listeners. And a lot of what they've done hasn't actually been attributed to them when you look at the analytics side of things, but it will eventually. So copyright does become a little bit of an issue here, but it is, it's one where some of the creators are working that out. Additional questions before I jump back in? So yes, Sean, absolutely, with samples. Sampling is happening a lot right now, and it is a situation where not every rights holder is being compensated for their original work. That's absolutely the case. In some cases, TikTok does take those sounds down. And, there's been a recent trend where you will hear maybe 8 of the more popular songs right now, all layered on top of each other. And it's just it's not easy to distinguish every one of those songs, but you'll hear those 8 songs layered for 10 seconds. And then people will use a filter that sort of flashes and a caption that is along the lines of what my brain hears after watching TikTok for 6 hours. And you can be sure that every one of those original rights holders is not being compensated for their particular content, for their songs on the platform. So is it the new Napster? In some ways, I think we can make draw some parallels there. I also think we can draw some parallels to what we see with the early days of MySpace and how that really helps launch some of the careers of artists. And it's pretty incredible to see what's become of that. And let's talk about that real quick. And I'll make the bold statement that right now, TikTok drives culture. I think if we look across all areas, right now, TikTok is that one. It's driving music, it's driving politics, it's driving sports. There's a lot that's happening in the sports world. There's original creation of characters and story-driven narratives. There's a big educational push. There's a big cooking section to TikTok. A lot of it is happening. And in the music space, which is really what we're here for, we can turn to Top 40 Radio. This is the chart updated today at 6 a.m. Got Harry Styles, Dua Lipa, The Weeknd, St. John, Louis Capaldi, the top 5 on Top 40 Radio right now. All of them, every one of those songs had a massive presence on TikTok. When we look at Watermelon Sugar, nearly 970 million videos were created with that song. St. John, 3.2 million on that version of that song, at a couple 100,000. The Weeknd with Blinding Lights, that was a challenge that we had, and people would do a specific dance associated with that. And so, all of those radio hits, top 40, really had a big part on TikTok as well. If we look at content creator versus the musician or rights holder, those two paths we can discuss as we're getting into this. But let's get into the musician first. And this is a quote from a Complex article, and I'll share this article and several others with you all after the session. But this quote: a social media platform where over the span of 2 months, a random kid from North Carolina can introduce himself to the world, do a dance, and then end up with a hit record. Doesn't need a record label. Doesn't need a massive team around him. And this is really what happened with Curtis Waters and his song Stunnin. These are screenshots from his actual video. Did a dance in his driveway, recorded at home. This is April 14th when this video was posted to TikTok and has become one of the biggest hits of the summer, and ended up with a deal because of this song. When you look at his numbers right now, 77,000 followers, almost 1 million likes, and his content is out there. People are using his songs, and we can see 1.1 million uses of that song that he created at home, did a dance at home, ends up with a deal. So to draw that parallel with what we saw with the early days of social media in MySpace in particular, or Pure Volume, some of the more Warped Tour style bands that had a pretty big following there. It's pretty interesting to see. The early days of MySpace, a lot of people will say Fall Out Boy were a big success story because of what they achieved on MySpace. We're seeing that with different artists today on TikTok. TikTok driving culture. This is a song that's being used in a Mercedes commercial right now. He doesn't even have a car yet his music is being appropriated there and used, and he's getting paid well for it. So these TikTok songs are really everywhere, and they're driving a lot. Similar to what we see with Curtis, we see Powfu, and he went and bought some beats on the internet, and one of those beats did not have a cleared sample. So going back to Sean's question about copyright, and it started to really take off. And this is one where, again, no labels were involved. The song gets big, but in order to get that song onto Spotify and others, he needed the labels at this point. And they went through, negotiated the licensing on that sample, and in the end, it's become pretty incredible to see this particular track. Pulling the chat back up here real quick. All right, so question from Michelle. How do you find what songs or new artists are coming up from the platform? So you can see what songs are showing up on the platform when you go to create your particular original content. And when you look for the sounds, there are trending sounds. There's a section for emerging artists. There's genre-based sounds as well. So a lot of it can happen in-app. A few weeks ago, for one of our MEIEA meets, we also had a conversation with Chartmetric. And that's really where I'm going as well, looking at those the Chartmetric data to see what songs are being used, the rate at which they're being streamed, and it's pretty interesting to see what's happening in the number of videos, the velocity by which these are being picked up by the users. So here's a quick screen share of what we would see with regards to TikTok's top weekly tracks on Chartmetric. And their metrics are looking at that 7-day video count. So over the last week, how many new videos were created with this sound? And Saweetie's Tap In is the one right now. In 2 or 3 days, we're going to see somebody different. And my guess is it's going to be Cardi B, because what she's doing with her new songs really starting to jump up there. But this will let you know what's out there, what's really being used. You can scroll further down this ranking list. It's, I believe, the top 1,000 sounds that they have. And if you want to see what is coming up maybe slowly, you can do that. But you also have the velocity, which you can sort by, and that will help share what's new and what's quickly being adapted and embraced by these particular creators. So Steve's question, when I say new videos, yes, we're talking about a content creator that is either lip syncing, doing a dance, creating their own original video content. So lip syncing is some of it. You've got fitness, TikTok, and they're using music. And, all of that is, part of the genre or the lane that you're trying to operate in. And with that, it's your new original content. So those new videos over the course of that last week, that 7-day average, is something that, we see the content creators coming up with new material. Kim's question about the pro account. It's free to have a pro account, and the pro account will give you more on the analytics side. And I'll show you some of the back-end analytics for what you can look at when you get into TikTok. And these are screenshots from my account. Certainly an artist account will be slightly different, but still operates under the same pro umbrella. So again, back to this video that we kicked things off with, you can get the video by video analytics. And in this case, you can see the traffic source. 94% of my traffic on this video came from the For You page. That meant that TikTok actually was serving this up to everyone around the world. And 4% came from the actual song itself. So people clicked on the song and were looking at other videos that were created using that sound. And then the other 2% or so came right from my profile page. You have the ability to see your follower count and what that growth looks like. And so that's something, over the course of the last month is typically what I like to look at, because you will have a little bit of an ebb and flow based on your content that you create. Number of people that view your profile over the last month. And you can see earlier, in earlier July, I had some videos that did fairly well, and obviously that bumped up. But still for yesterday, almost 2,000 profile views, not so bad when you take all things considered. Number of video views over the last 28 days, again, you can see a little bit of a cyclical pattern here. And so as we're going through, I'm expecting now in the next couple days to see a bit more of a spike in the content consumption for the videos that I've created. And again, these are things that I track. If you're an artist manager, I would do the same. If you're teaching students about the back-end analytics, I would also bring them through this and see, are there patterns? Because those patterns can really help you when it comes to your content creation. Obviously, they've got the gender breakdown. In this case, I'm about 2/3 female, 1/3 male for my followers. And you can see where they're from. Only a quarter of my audience is in the US. And that's an interesting stat to see when it comes to brand deals, which I'm hoping to be a part of fairly soon. And will those brands want to reach a global audience, or are they more specific with a country by country approach? So that's something I can report back once we get there. And then, hour by hour, when your followers are most active, also good to know. Then you can get into what the followers are also watching, what sounds they're listening to. So to Michelle's question again, where do you find sounds? You might go and look at what other sounds are being listened to by your audience and create that content using those sounds in order to capitalize on the fact that that they're listening to them already. Then you can also take a look at your own videos and see the creative side, what has really stood out. And in every one of these cases, it was a video where I was using my left arm to do something. The green hand that I created was out of Laffy Taffy, because there was a trending sound that had Laffy Taffy as part of the lyrics. Decided to do it, and wasn't sure I wanted to post it at all. And it's somewhere in the 2.5 million views for that one. You can see the center row to the right with 60.5 thousand views in the last 7 days. That's one where there's no music, but it was a sound. It was just somebody speaking, and I lip synced that and used it in my video there. So these sounds are there on the back end on the analytics side. So definitely a pro account is something that I would encourage any one of the artists or any business that you are working with that wants to look at this, because the analytics are a lot more detailed than they would be for just a traditional account. All right, a couple more questions I see from Sean and from Steve. I'll start with Sean, the current political climate, negative impact on TikTok. It very well could have an impact. Right now, we do see that September 21st is the day. And at that point, the current administration says they're going to ban TikTok from the US. And that's under the umbrella of national security. So it can have an issue. When the threat first came out, this was a week or so ago, we did see a massive, massive following. Everyone just kind of jumped online to go live and get their followers to jump and follow them on Instagram, on YouTube, or on other platforms. And that is still happening right now because the creators know that the 21st is coming. And there is a distinct possibility that we might see things banned at that point, at least temporarily. There's definitely talk that TikTok is going to fight this, and they are looking to try to keep it operational. And there are conversations ongoing with other US-based companies, or at least companies that have a presence in the US. And most notably, that's Microsoft, but there's been discussion of Twitter, and some have even floated the idea of Apple as a potential buyer for TikTok. We'll see what happens. And until then, it's still creating your content, but also starting to diversify and make sure that you've got those followers transitioning over to other platforms. And I think that's, one of those takeaways that we all can learn from. Even though right now TikTok is sort of the place to be, MySpace was the place to be at one point as well. And so making sure that we can capture that audience across all of your platforms is pretty important. Steve's question about content creators and monetization on YouTube. It's something that we've seen in the last week. A lot of people have taken their content and pushed it to YouTube as well. I know almost all of the videos that I created on TikTok, I downloaded and then re-uploaded to YouTube in the 24 hours after the first ban was discussed. And the challenge here for a content creator is I can't monetize those songs. I don't own the copyrights to most of them. Some I do, but most of them I cannot monetize. The original rights holders can. And so based on the number of streams that I have on my accounts right now, the value at around $2,000 per million streams would be somewhere, in the $66,000 to $76,000 could be paid out. But I'm not monetizing those, and most will not be able to. Question from Michelle. Let me read this one real quick. Speaking to the nature of how people find content and how students might be using it. So, and then questions on using TikTok in the classroom. So yes, there's a lot that will happen with the curation of content on your behalf as you start your process integrating TikTok into your life. And it is a lifestyle change for some. 6 hours a day is a part-time job for me on TikTok. And based on what I interact with, I will see different content. So TikTok does a lot of that curation for you. But you can also go through and take a look at some of the popular creators. You might say someone like Lauren Gray. She's doing dances and very much down the middle, TikTok accessible to a pretty wide audience because she's got a massive following. You might find that you want something a little bit more specific, and those hashtags will help get you there. In terms of the second part of this question, though, how we use it in the classroom, I actually have used TikTok quite extensively in the classroom. I taught a multimedia storytelling class, and that happened last semester and the semester prior. Within those classes, I created an assignment for students to go shoot a 15 to 60 second TikTok. And they had to go through, like we did at the very beginning, many of the students still had not been on TikTok. They didn't know the process for shooting, editing, picking sounds, and they needed to. We all need to. And so I would send them out, and in the course of one class, 80 minutes, they had to go shoot a video, pick the correct sound for it, post it, and I gave them bonus points based on the number of views that they got within a 24-hour period and then a 7-day period. And that really incentivized them to go through the process of sharing, because you can share your content to Instagram, to Facebook, you can send it via text. There's lots of options to share. And so it's important to do that. I gave them plenty of examples. People like Parker James. He is, I believe he's 19, from Texas. He fronts a grunge band, but has built a TikTok account that has a couple characters, and he plays both characters within every one of his videos, and has multi millions of followers, and has now monetized himself like an independent band would, with merchandising, meet and greets, so on and so forth. So in class, having people use TikTok absolutely would be my first step. But there's also a pretty big push now for TikTok and education. And there are funds available from TikTok. And with those funds, TikTok is trying to go through and become a resource for education. Teaching people how to do things has become one of those major threads within TikTok. And that's sort of the path that I'm going on. I make jokes and we'll use some popular songs and have some fun with having one hand, but I also do a lot of content that shows people how I do things. And so this process of teaching someone is a big part of what TikTok is doing. And let me see if I've got the link open here that I can share within the chat. So this is from TikTok's blog. Let me share this to everyone. And this is the fund that they have built out to really help learn. The idea is learn on TikTok, a $50 million creative learning fund. And this might be something that you want to tap into. And it's something that, though I may or may not try to tap into that, I am starting a second account, and I hope to launch that in about a week, where I'll be doing some teaching of the music business on TikTok. You've got 15 to 60-second lessons. And, with that, the idea is to help share some of the basics to creators that are out there, or some of these newer creatives that are creating songs in their basements or bedrooms and don't yet know the business of music. So yes, that's another opportunity there for this use in the classroom. Let's see. Question or comment from Michelle. So artists reaching younger kids are employing that in their plans. Yes, reaching younger kids is a part of TikTok, but as we kicked things off, we did see that still it's 45% of the audience is 25 to 44 on TikTok, and we're seeing an older audience gravitate towards the platform. So reaching those people is also important.
Yeah, just a point of clarification that was in response to a comment earlier about the use of TikTok on YouTube. And so I was just saying a lot of the younger people who are consuming TikTok content aren't consuming it on TikTok, they're consuming it on YouTube. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's good. No, I appreciate that.
Broken into two comments, so I'm sorry to confuse.
No, it's all good. Let's see. So Sean, value of a stage name or pen name rather than your own. Yes, some people will absolutely try to keep their personal information out of TikTok, and you'll use a separate name for that. I chose 70.3 as my handle just because I initially thought that I was going to have this TikTok account and share my triathlon racing experience over the year. But with no races happening, my content absolutely shifted. I do have a second account that's under my, my handle is actually my first and last name. That's where I'm going to do my music business content and make that a little bit more professional, with avoiding some of the profanities and some of the music and whatnot. But the idea is sharing that content from me professionally, works under my name. But I definitely know plenty of creators who started under their own name and decided to not have that name stick with them throughout the process of creating content, because there's a certain culture that we see on TikTok right now where people tend to create content that is outside of their comfort zone, really. and there's a trend right now where people are, quote unquote, exposing themselves. And, this is just sharing those things about you that you would not expect people to know. And so, you might not want your coworkers to know something about you, but you're happy to share it with the, TikTok community that you have, because it's a different space, it's a different environment. And that is a trend that's going on. So having a stage name, absolutely, there's plenty of examples of that. If we're talking artists though, keep the artist name for sure, because you want your handles across everything. So, all right, any additional questions? I got a couple more slides that I'll share. Just give me 1 second to switch back over. When we're talking about using the app and sort of making sure that you are doing what you can do to make your artist stand out and get that following to jump to your other platforms, best practices here. On your profile page, you will see this Instagram logo. And when you click that Instagram logo, you have the ability to add your Instagram handle and your YouTube handle. So this is where you will drive people to those particular sites. So TikTok is set up to have that seamless integration. The idea being you can create short form content on TikTok, and you want it to live on TikTok. Now Instagram with their Reels, that's a direct competitor to what TikTok is doing. But prior to that, it was the spot for your photos, Instagram. YouTube was your long form content. And so it was this great little mix between the bit more competition. So we'll see if that button changes in the coming weeks. But best practices, you have those links to drive your traffic to other platforms as well. As you saw with my analytics, I had 100,000 people check out my profile, which is this particular page, on my profile over the course of this month. I've got a link to my website, and I can pull the analytics from the website. In this case, we also see this URL shortener for Curtis Waters. And this is where you have the link to your Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Google, YouTube, so on and so forth. All the music sites that you want people to stream your content, where you will monetize it based on a per stream basis, you can send this way. So, every artist today needs to have TikTok as part of their marketing plan. And this is just best practices. So you're not just linking to one particular streaming service. We also see a trend with older content reemerging on TikTok. So about 10 years ago, we had La Rue's Bulletproof really come out, and it was a popular track. As you can see, 47 million streams of the video on Vivo right now from YouTube. But right now, it's a trend on TikTok. So a 10-year-old song now has 567,000 videos, and it's all using the same exact audio, the same exact visual effects, and it's where people, they all say, "Do you think you can hurt my feelings?" And then expose something about them as to why you can't hurt their feelings. And, this is an interesting screenshot here, because this is where we see some of the politics come into play, where this particular screenshot, these are the most popular videos, the top 9 using this particular sound. And in the middle to the left, so the middle row to the left, we can see, "You think you can hurt my feelings? My mom is Kellyanne Conway." And this is her daughter. And that's the political side of TikTok starting to come out as well. And she's been using that platform as her voice. So these older songs are getting a rebirth at times, just like Simple Plan and their track, "I'm Just a Kid." This is one that came out now 18 years ago, and in the last several months has really exploded with 4.2 million videos of this song. And it's people doing a transition from where they are today, getting into a pose, and that pose mimics a still photograph of them as a kid. So for me, I had a video of, or a photo of me holding headphones, big black can headphones, similar actually to Scott's, if you can see him in the chat or in the video screens. And I would hold on to them and I mimicked that. And that was my version of this Simple Plan video. And so this is, it's a thing where these older songs are coming back. And on the analytics side, you can see this. So these screenshots come from Chartmetric again. And this is for I'm Just a Kid by Simple Plan. And through March, April, pretty flat. All of a sudden, now you start to see the videos take off with this song and the massive growth. And that's, just a couple months, 4.2 million videos. And when you start to look at the other analytics, and you can see the Spotify monthly listeners, correlation is pretty good. They did not have a TikTok account until after the beginning of May. People started to follow them. Number of likes on TikTok started to grow. And now Simple Plan, a band that's 20 years old, has a meaningful following on TikTok. So the analytics side is pretty interesting to see. And things do tend to correlate pretty closely with the TikTok videos created and then your Spotify monthly listeners. It's not necessarily a one-to-one correlation, but it's a positive correlation nonetheless. We saw the top tracks. A few more items, and then I know we're getting close to the first hour. But a couple days ago, we saw a live event, and this was The Weeknd putting on a performance, and it was very similar to what we saw with Fortnite and Travis Scott, where you had individuals logging on to the app, and you would see, the waiting room, which is all the way to the left of the screen, interactive, where your chat would help shape the visuals that you would see. So you would chat left or right, based on what you wanted the visuals to look like. And they had the vote tallies in real time. And then, again, waiting room. And then the show happens and you've got the chat happening. There was merchandise that was being sold at this virtual show. Now, it wasn't The Weeknd as a live video. It was definitely a, CG version of him. But at the peak, we had 275,000 people watching this live performance, and raised $350,000 in their merchandise sales during the performance that lasted about 15 minutes. So we are seeing major artists jumping on and being a part of this. And this was a collaboration between TikTok, Republic Records, and Wave. And Wave has done a lot with augmented reality and virtual reality for content in the music space. So those are the ones that have been involved in this. I would expect that we'll see more of this as we continue with major artists being a part of this. A few others examples of artists that have done a really good job on TikTok. Jason Derulo is probably the best example, absolutely has a music career, but now he's as much of a TikTok star and TikTok celebrity as he is a musician. There have been reports that he can charge $75,000 for the use of your product in his videos or your mention or your song. And Youngblood has done a really good job being very creative, showing behind the scenes of the album process and live shows when they were happening. And it was a big part of launching the last record. A couple final thoughts before we take some additional questions. If you are working at a major and you're going through the process of trying to get some of these top content creators to use your songs, you better have a pretty sizable budget. Addison Rae, Charlie, Dixie D'Amelio, Lauren Gray, they can charge you between $30,000 and $50,000 to use that song for a 15-second video. And so it's a crowded space right now. At one point, you would see, artists reach out to certain content creators directly and offer them a few $100s, a few $1,000s to use those songs and help really spur on the audience to jump over to Spotify or Apple Music. But now it's a lot more crowded. All of these folks have representation now, and so they're fielding plenty of offers. And so you're not saying yes to everything, because then your feed will turn into ads, which you don't want. But the advertisers today, they do want content to look like it was created by the users. So I believe like last year, Addison Rae made $5 million as a content creator. So pretty sizable for someone that young. And, there are plenty of cases where you see, TikTok and brands teaming up with these content creators. And I can share this one as well with Lauren Gray and Chipotle, because that was a successful partnership there. Overall, you can become a content creator. And if you get yourself 100,000 followers, you are eligible to be part of the content creator marketplace. And 100,000 followers, a minimum of 3 videos in the last month, and 100,000 likes. You've got to be 18 plus. This is now what will qualify you for a special section of TikTok that will link you with brands. Now, you'll have the ability as that content creator to make a short pitch about why some brand should work with you, what you're covering, and then making sure that your content as a creator adheres to the TikTok guidelines. And then you can set your rates. So if you have 100,000 followers, you might charge $250 for a post. You've got the ability to accept cash, which would be essentially Venmo, or you can accept product as well. So some folks will take that product because oftentimes it's valued higher than what the cash value would be. And that's something that once you hit that 100,000, you're eligible for that. You can get around this if you are a smaller artist, and there is a trend where you see artists will pay users to use their sounds. So I've hidden the artist in this case, but this artist had a new song. It had 0 following when he posted this. There were literally 0 plays on Spotify. And he said, if you post it and get 200,000 views, I'll Venmo you $20. 500,000 views, I'll Venmo $50 or $100. And, it's well worth it for this particular artist because those are a pretty sizable amount of views for the cost associated. And the 3,400 songs or videos were created using this song when he went through and presented this as an option. The top video got 13.5 million views and 2 million likes. So for $100, probably the best $100 this artist has spent. So it can be very successful. We talked copyright earlier, but just to throw this back out there, major labels have that short-term deal. NMPA has a multi-year deal. That is an issue, and it's something that we will see more copyright issues with TikTok for sure because users are going through and chopping those songs up. But ultimately, TikTok is trying to iron that out. They're building, as I mentioned, the Learn on TikTok initiative, so we can now share short lessons. And then they've also built out a content creator fund, initially launched with $200 million. And this week, the first round of content creators have been paid for creating original, unique content on the app. And they're growing this to $1 billion fund over the next 3 years. So if you are creating content and you do have an audience, then you can go through and turn that into a revenue stream for yourself. TikTok has also said to have 10,000 jobs coming to the US in the next couple years. And politically, that may help them as we talk about the potential sale of TikTok. Today, TikTok announced a little bit more of their sports partnerships, and they are connected with the New York Yankees with some television promotion and then signage within the stadium when that happens. So TikTok is really, again, as I mentioned, driving culture. They're stepping into it in every way. So final question I will leave with you all, and that is the notion of will TikTok be banned? And would love to get your thoughts.
I'll say for me, thanks. First off, thanks so much. That was fantastic. I think I speak for everybody that it was very informative. I think, you know, it doesn't seem that they're doing anything different than all the other social media companies besides the fact that they're based in China. So, you know, if an American company acquires them and they can sort of parse through the code and make sure that there's no ciphering happening off to the original content creators or the Chinese government, I don't see why it would be.
Any other thoughts on this? Michelle saying, I don't think it's going to happen. My personal thought, I think they're going to try to do it. And I think it's going to end up in the courts. But, you know, it is one of those platforms that, unlike any other social platform that we have right now, the pockets of community that we see on TikTok has not been replicated elsewhere. And if TikTok does get banned in the US, the alternatives would be Instagram's Reels. You know, that's more data going to Facebook. There's Dub Smash as an option. And there's Triller. And those are the three that are really the direct competition to TikTok, though market size, TikTok is the big one. So I see a few folks are needing to jump off this chat right now, and I thank you all for being here. You know, if you have questions down the road about TikTok, about the analytics on the back end, about using Chartmetric, please reach out to me. I'll be sure that my email is sent around with Armin's follow-up to today's discussion. And I've got plenty of links that I'm going to send along as well, so you can see some of these sources and have them for your classes this fall if you have sections on TikTok. I think it's a pretty fantastic platform to be a part of. Initially, when I signed up, I did not expect to be a content creator. It was never part of my master plan. But as I've gotten into it, it's been really fun. And I take plenty of pride in picking the right songs for some of these videos that I'm doing. So if you happen to sign up for TikTok, let me know. I'll get you a follow back so I can see what you're doing along the way.